Election Day is November 5th, and we're sitting down with Norwalk's candidates for Common Council and Board of Education, and we're asking them for their qualifications, their opinions, and their visions for Norwalk.
Running for a variety of reasons. I have three girls. My wife and I have three girls. One graduated from McMahon. One is a senior currently at McMahon. And my little one's a 7th grader, so she'll be joining McMahon in a couple of years. Okay. So I have a vested interest. I've seen my two older ones go through McMahon and have ideas as to what can be improved upon, some of the advantages and disadvantages. So certainly I have a vested interest. Secondly, I've always believed in giving back. You know, we all have an obligation. I feel like I have an obligation to improve the community we live in, whether it's where we live, where we work, where we play. We need to always raise the bar and try and make it a better place to live. So certainly that. And I believe that, you know, bringing a little of my background to the board, and that is, you know, we moved to Norwalk in 1990. So I've been in town for 23 years. Having the girls, you know, in the school system, and you know, watching them come through, and being a banker for 25 or so years, and being an educator as well. I also, besides my day job as being a banker, I also teach at NYU. I'm an adjunct professor there, so I'm involved in education. I volunteer my time with Junior Achievement, so I understand the teacher's side of some of the issues and some of the concerns and some of the challenges they have. This was all done in the city of New York, so I've been at a variety of public schools in Manhattan, from Chinatown to Harlem and such. So I've seen a lot. And I think that bringing that forward to the Board of Ed and contributing in that way, I think will be meaningful and add value.
If you're elected, what are the sort of things ideally that you would like to bring to the board, sort of things that you like to focus on?
Sure. You know, one of the things that, and it's in no particular order, I believe that the board needs to be more accessible by the taxpayer, by the students, by the parents. I've often felt, being a parent, that the Board of Ed was this, you know, monolithic, you know, board that was unapproachable, and that's really wrong. The board needs to be out there in the community, needs to be listening to the parents, needs to be active in the PTOs. When a student writes a letter to the board, needs to be responded to. When you know, when there's an open mic at the Board of Ed meetings, and there are concerns that are brought forth, those concerns should be documented, and someone should be tracking them down and seeing what's going on, and following up. So I think, you know, certainly a clarity and responsiveness to the community is important, and something that I think I'd like to bring forward and continue on. I think the board has done a great job the past 18 months under Chairman Lyons' under his chairmanship. Things like closing the gap on this $4 million issue that we had a couple years ago. It's paid off. It's pretty gosh darn good in 2 years. Establishing a policy for civility in the board. I think that's terrific. You know, the board is always known, many boards are, not just this one, of being one where there's a lot of rancor, where there's a lot of, you know, impolite behavior. So this civility, this civil policy that they placed the past couple of years, right, I think it's a great idea. They've also had this bullying policy that was just recently enacted. I think that bullying policy hasn't been brought into the school system very well, so I would like to bridge that gap. It's wonderful to have laws on the books and policy in place, but unless the schools and the principals and the teachers understand it and act on it, it's useless. So I like to bring that to the grassroots level. Sure. I would like to clearly, you know, the Common Core is
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, the Common Core is an important part of our system. That the implementation of which, I'm a firm believer in it. I think it has a great a great future, and I think that it's proven in terms of some of its results that I've seen. I'm a newcomer to this, but from what I've researched over the past few months, I like what I see. So implementing that.
The relationship between the superintendent and the Board of Education. What do you think that relationship should be?
Certainly a productive one that's amicable, one that's friendly, one that's, you know, I don't know why it comes to mind, but, you know, a couple of years back when I'm a big Giants fan, football Giants had a trophy year this year, but, you know, a few years back when the Giants won the Super Bowl, Tom Coughlin's expression was all in, right? And I've used that ever since I heard it, 'cause I think it's a terrific expression. So being all in the board with the new superintendent is how they should work. The board, I look at it in terms of being a corporation, right? The board of education, like a board at a company, is responsible and owes the owners, the equity stakeholders, you know, their returns, right? And the corporation's profits, you know, and the Board of Ed, it's returning to the taxpayer and the parents and the students the best education we can give them. So working together with the new superintendent, who I've heard wonderful things about, who has a great history and a great background, is one thing. Certainly he has a vision, and I've read about it and I like it. So helping him with his vision and force it. You know, we've had a high turnover of superintendents in Norwalk, which is a problem. You know, having that key position change over 2 or 3 times in the course of 5, 6, 7 years is horrible, for whatever reason. So I'm convinced that Dr. Rivera is here for the long haul. I like the fact that that he lived in town, that he is very well educated in education, as well as spent many years in the private sector. It helps him to be more well-rounded. So I want to work with him and act like a board should act and challenge him. It shouldn't always be a bunch of yes men or people, you know, sitting around a table singing Kumbaya and just saying, "Oh, you're wonderful, you're wonderful." You know, let's challenge him. Let's make sure that he's being put to the test. Of course, in a good way, always.